Okay, thank you everyone for coming out. We got a good crowd tonight. The time is 6 p.m., July 16th, 2024. I call to order this regular scheduled Oconee County Council meeting. Let's begin with a moment of silence. Okay, I ask Mr. David Root, who is visiting with us via the telephone, to lead us in prayer.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Dearest Father, thank you for this day. Beautiful day. Another day on earth, but not a day that we were promised, so we're grateful for the gift. I pray that you create in us truly appreciative hearts, that we see the gifts you give us and the opportunities you give us to help our neighbor and to do the right thing, and that we would be appreciative and follow your lead. Thank you also for council, their willingness to serve. I just pray that you bless them in that service, and tonight that you give them your guidance, give them your direction and your wisdom, so they can make decisions that would benefit the county and the state and this nation. I pray in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Root. Mr. Phil Shirley, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the June 18th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second. Motion second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
That is 4A.
Unless we have county attorney comments, Mr. David Root.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only thing I just wanted to apologize for not being there. I'm still dealing with some ramifications from the Achilles surgery, but it's getting better, and I hope to see y'all soon. But otherwise, I have nothing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Root. County administrator comments, Ms. Amanda Brock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too have nothing to share this evening.
Ms. Brock, thank you. Next, we have public comment session. We ask that all comments today be relevant to today's agenda or other issues pertaining to county operations and services. As a reminder, you have 5 minutes. I will hold up the yellow 1 minute warning sign when you get to 4 minutes, and when you reach 5 minutes, I will hold up the red stop sign. When you're first approaching, just please, Ms. Jennifer will call your name out, but please state your name again for the record.
Catherine Oaks.
Hi, my name is Catherine Oaks, and I am from Westminster. This is going to be addressed mostly to Mr. Durham. At the June 18th County Council meeting, my sister, Maria Green, spoke during the public comment section about bullying. Her and I left after she spoke, so I didn't get to hear your response to her until after I saw it on a YouTube video. And I'm going to quote what you said. You said, "Your sister," meaning me, "informed me that you," meaning my sister Maria, "were the one going out, putting up despicable, nasty signs, which I believe is bullying." Matthew, you know this is a lie, and I've reached out to you multiple times for you to correct this lie. I've only communicated with you through Facebook Messenger and by email at this point. We have never talked in person, by phone, by video chat, or private text. Everything we have said to each other is documented. You asked me if I had any information regarding inappropriate signs, assuming that you meant your stolen, defaced signs, or the ones that had your mugshot on it during the campaigning. I did admit to you that I myself made 2 individual signs, one that was a domestic abuse hotline, and the other one was vote no to domestic abuse. I told you this because I didn't want anybody else to get blamed for something they didn't do. I didn't want an innocent person getting blamed. I never once said my sister Maria helped me or that she made any signs. I never said what you claimed, and you know that. After your lie, I messaged you at 8 p.m. that night asking you why did you lie, and you never responded. Maria and I repeatedly reached out to you privately to try to correct this. To no avail. You let the entire county think my sister put up all these nasty signs about you all throughout your district. Because of what? When you finally responded back to one of my emails on June 24th, I again asked you to correct your response, and all you said back was that I implicated myself for 2 signs that I made. You told me to contact Jimmy Dixon of the Coney County Police Department regarding this, and I did, and I called him, put the phone call on, my sister recorded it on speaker, and Jimmy Dixon does acknowledge that you did show him our our Facebook messages. He acknowledges that I was never a suspect in stealing your signs, and I never implicated myself, and neither is my sister. He also said in this video recording that you showed him all the conversations, and never once did I mention my sister's name about putting up these signs. So, sorry, I lost my spot. Anyways, Matthew, I asked you again, why did you lie to everyone about my sister and claim that she put up these signs when I told you she never did? All of our conversations are documented, and there's no proof I said this. It's astounding to me that you were so comfortable lying to silence and intimidate and discredit someone. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Oaks.
Maria Green.
Hi, my name is Marie Green. I am from Seneca, and I will keep this kind of brief. I'm not going to rehash anything that my sister just said, but I'm here tonight in hopes that, Chairman, that you will finally correct this knowingly false statement that you made about me at the last meeting. Basically, I would just like to explore why. Why did you lie to everyone about me on the record? And as of this moment, you still have yet to respond to any of my emails. I have tried in vain to reach you. I have emailed everybody on the council. And I'm just not sure why I'm being ignored. And I guess that's your right, but here I am, wasting time, your time, everybody's time talking about this. And this is not how I imagined or hoped this would be addressed. But what choice am I left with? Where do I go? Who do I talk to since you won't respond to me? Basically, I don't understand why you would lie to discredit me. I feel like you lied in hopes to turn people against me, to intimidate me, and to silence me. I feel like you used your position and platform as county council chairman to try and shut me down by telling a bold-faced lie. Instead of addressing my concerns that I brought forward about the behavior and the influence OCC has on our county council and their conduct, I feel like you tried to flip the narrative by lying about me. You attempted to distract from the issue at hand, but what I don't think you realize is that you just proved my point with that behavior. Unfortunately, I feel like your conduct is unbecoming of the position that you hold on county council. To me, it's abhorrent that our county council chairman will not hold himself accountable for his own deliberate actions. I think that our county deserves better. We need better. And I feel like this needs to be shut down. This is abusive behavior. Anyways, my only hope now is that the people of Oconee see this for what it is, an abuse of power. Chairman, I really wish that you would address me at some point and tell me why you would lie about that. Anyway, so tonight, I hope that you uphold your oath that you took and be the leader that you swore that you would be by finally correcting your knowingly false statement. Thanks.
Ted Bisterfield.
Good evening. I'm Ted Bisterfeld. I live at 129 South 4th Drive, Seneca. I'm here to urge your approval of the proposed ordinance number 18 as it would apply to the county. We think it will be very beneficial to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Catherine Bryant.
Good evening. I'm here to
Probably just look for some guidance. We live in the Heritage Farm subdivision off Old Station Road, West Union mailing address, and we have a chronic, inconsistent water pressure. It's been going on for years and it's been getting worse as time goes on. You call, report it. The technician is evidently not required to announce their arrival or to leave any kind of a documentation of what they found. We never get any feedback. So we don't know how to rectify the problem. We need some guidance on where to go. As I look at the state code, it tells me that fire hydrants are required on municipal water distribution systems, and we have none. It's at least a mile back to the back section, plus some spurs. Evidently, when the water line was installed years and years ago, there's about 50 parcels back there. They put it in an undersized line. They tell us like 2 inches rather than 4. At 6:30 in the morning, you can't get a shower. And we understand that the pressure may be low, but we'd like to have it to be consistent. We just don't know where to go.
We'll address at the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Reagan Merritt,
Hello, I'm Regina Merritt, and I live on Colony Lane. I'm a neighbor to this lady who just stepped down, Catherine Bryant, and I have the same problem. I have no water in the mornings until about 9 or 10 o'clock. It's just sometimes it's nothing. Sunday was nothing till about 10 or 11. That's the way it goes, and then afternoons, I've got no water pressure. So I had it checked. Saturday at 2:15, it was 10, and I'm having a problem with that. I've been there for 35 years, and I just need help, something to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Merritt.
Harry Smith,
Hello, Council. I'm Perry Smith. First, I'd like to congratulate you guys on your recent Republican primary win for the County Council. The turnout this year underscores the critical importance of civic engagement, and I commend all those who participated. What I'm here today to talk about is the pending lawsuit against the county for the bonding. I'm deeply concerned about the ongoing lawsuit against the county and its citizens, which threatens to impose significant cost in the long term. It is my firm belief that the plaintiffs should bear full and all responsibility for any financial burdens incurred as a result of the recent litigation against the county regarding the bonding of the Sewer South to I-85 project. The involvement of individuals such as Jim and India Lancaster, Carl and Terry Myrie. India Lancaster she ran against the incumbent Matthew Durham. Gwen McPhail, she ran against the incumbent Glenn Hart. David Dow, who actually sits on the Sewer Authority Board. Doug Musick, Bruce Burrell, John Wagner, Lillian Lusk, Linda Love, and the South Carolina Public Interest Foundation raises serious questions about the motives behind the legal action. It is troubling that these individuals, some who ran against you guys, defeated in the primary elections, may have done this for political gain. Strange, isn't it? I demand that these people be held accountable, and that they pay every dime of the citizens' money they wasted for this lawsuit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
We have no further speakers.
Any further speakers?
I encourage everybody to come tomorrow to the courthouse at 2 p.m.
Stand down, Mr. Man. All right, next we have council member comment.
Yes, sir, I'd like to make a comment. I appreciate everyone coming out tonight. We do the people's business. We don't do our business, we do your business. And we use your money. And so we need feedback so we make the decisions for y'all. So thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Any other comments? Ms. Bryant and Ms. Merritt, I don't know where y'all, if you could please make sure your number gets to Ms. Jennifer here. And that's a city issue, but I'll help you get to the right people and I'll help advocate on your behalf. But please make sure your contact information is available before you leave. As far as Ms. Oates and Ms. Green, Ms. Green, I suppose, I had conversations with your sister, and, I've definitely seen the vile rhetoric that both of y'all have online. And, one of the comments was, in respect to the signs, was, from you, Miss Green, I know who put them up too. This makes me giggle so much. So I apologize for assuming that you're the one who put them up. But I have seen the vile rhetoric come from both of y'all, so it's kind of, amusing. You said it on social media. I got the screenshot.
Show me. I would love to see.
It's that you guys come up and speak about bullying when the vile rhetoric that y'all put out is just disgusting. And we've seen what that kind of rhetoric can lead to at the national level. And we also see it now at the local level. It just trickles down. There's a group of y'all, and I'm not saying you're the ones who do it. There's a group of y'all congregate together, and it goes beyond what you believe is middle school bullying to criminal activity. The signs was criminal activity.
No, it wasn't.
The vandalizing on my personal property at my home, which I've never made a public statement about, that your group of individuals brag about online, that's criminal activity. The taking photos of my home and putting them online may not be criminal, but it's definitely intended to intimidate me and my family.
Matthew.
So right now, that's all I'm going to say.
That is not us.
It's your group of people.
I am not a part of any group.
Any other
How
council
dare
member
you?
comment? Any other council member comments?
Standing out the door? You cannot own up to your body?
Ms. Green.
No, do not address me unless you're gonna apologize. That is absolutely absurd.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
If you cannot behave, then we will have you removed.
Okay, if you can actually tell the truth.
Next we move forward to public hearing ordinances. Public hearing for the following ordinances. We have one ordinance 2024-16, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes and special source revenue credit agreement by and between Oconee County, South Carolina and Sandvik Machining Solutions USA, LLC, formerly identified as Project Turn, acting for itself, one or more current or future affiliates, and other project companies, collectively company, providing for a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes incentive, providing for a special source revenue credit, creating or modifying a joint county industrial and business park between Oconee County and Pickens County so as to designate the property or the projects as part of such park and other related matters.
I have no speakers for this.
No speakers. Thank you, Ms. Jennifer. I close public hearing on ordinance 2024-16. I apologize, I misspoke. We have two public hearings. I need to back up because I needed to read a public comment that wasn't related to public hearing, so I'm going to read that at this time. I apologize. I'm going to read this out loud. This says, I am not able to attend the July 16th meeting, but would like to share the below in support of ordinance 2024-18 as a lifelong South Carolinian who moved from Charleston, South Carolina to get away from overdevelopment. That's public hearing. I apologize, but I'm going to read it, continue reading. To get away from overdevelopment, this important ordinance establishes minimum lot size and maximum density standards for the control-free districts in Oconee County. It is needed more than ever as our state continues to grow. This overdevelopment will put a damper on our quality of life. This important change will be a major step in helping to preserve the appeal of living in Oconee County by setting lot size and density standards in large new developments. I ask for your support in third and final reading of this important ordinance 2024-18 on Tuesday, July 16th. It says, thanks, Dustin Foxworth. Okay, I have one that was meant for,
Do you need to read that in public hearing first?
I'll continue on this. Apologize. So this is for public comment. It says, my name is Jerry Yantis and I live in Seneca. I'm in support of overhead and underground conversions for the South Cove County Park submitted by Parks and Recreation and Tourism. This project will provide significant improvement to the South Cove facilities. The addition of tennis courts and pickleball courts is supported by nearly 340 residents and South Cove visitors who signed a petition stating as such in September 2023. Please vote to approve this first step of the project. Thank you. And this one asked to be read out loud, but we also, for the South Cove project, received 30 additional emails in support. Okay, now I'll move to the public hearing. I apologize. Public hearing for ordinance 2024-18 and ordinance amending chapter 38 of the Oconee County Code of Ordinances in certain limited regards and particulars only regarding the establishment of minimum lot size and maximum lot density provisions for the control-free district and other matters related thereto.
We have 22 speakers.
22 speakers. And just a reminder, public comments on the ordinance, that's the topic, and there's no time limit, so you have as long as you need.
Watson Johnson.
Good evening. My name is Watson Johnson, and I live in Salem. I am here to support Ordinance 2024-18 for the density limitations in Oconee County. This ordinance is a good start in preserving everything that makes Oconee County a desirable place that we all enjoy. We also, now with I-85 and the completion of Sewer South, we have the ability to easily get places for both industry and for the residents. New industry is going to bring in new jobs. It's going to bring in new people who need new housing. When I arrived in this area in 1973, there wasn't much in Oconee, Pickens, or Anderson counties, and Greenville wasn't anywhere close to what it is now. Look at Woodruff Road. In the early 80s, you could go from I-85 to Simpsonville, and there was nothing. You can't go there now. Look at Highway 153 in Powdersville and the growth around Easley. Do we want this kind of congestion in Oconee County? I don't think we do. In 1977, when I was a senior, Clemson had, if I remember correctly, 9,260 students. And the charter, if I remember correctly, was to cap it at 10,000. And now there's somewhere around 25,000 students. And as I saw your comment, Chairman Durham, in the paper last week about the new housing that is coming behind what we knew as the 123 truck stop or Paul's Diner. All the student housing is now coming to Oconee County. Growth in this state is well documented, and last year South Carolina was #1, and in the state Greer was the first or the largest growth in the state. My career, I was blessed, and it took me all over the state over 40 years, plus years, and I was able to observe a lot of growth and things that were done properly and not done well. As I said, the ordinance is a good start. Growth can be smart and well organized, or it can just happen. And it has just happened in a lot of places. When it's organized, roads, infrastructure, public services, schools, and supporting businesses are in place before the development overwhelms. fees are in place for, to alleviate the cost to the existing residents. If growth is not organized and planned, trying to play catch-up is costly and it's unbelievably inconvenient to everyone. Most people want to preserve their land and would never want to see it turned into a development. But situations arise and sometimes it has to be sold. And you can't control what a new purchaser does with the land once they own it. It happened in my family. You can see all over the state what happens when a developer comes in, buys land that has no controls in place. Often it's not pretty. When ordinances are lacking, trees and green spaces are destroyed, clear cutting damages the streams and the lakes, and the road and side setbacks are insufficient. High-density housing is placed where roads are unable to handle the traffic, and every required service is strained. Thank you again for taking on this important issue. I appreciate your support of the ordinance. And as I say, it's a good place to start. There's a lot of work that needs to be done afterwards. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair.
Martha Steele.
Good evening, County Council members. I am Martha Steele, and my husband and I live in District 3. We sincerely thank the Planning Commission and the County Council for their work on these new and very important development standards for setting density and lot size minimums in a plan for smart growth in Oconee County. Certainly, smart growth would allow our county to grow while simultaneously protecting and ensuring a lasting and workable infrastructure that would not be destroyed by the rapid development of high-density projects and their resulting nightmarish traffic conditions with the many safety issues of traffic congestion, fire protection, and law enforcement. We encourage the County Council to pass the third reading of Ordinance 2024-18 and vote to adopt these new standards. Again, thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Lee McKenzie.
Good evening. I'm Lee McKenzie, District 3. I'm just here to encourage you to vote and pass the 2418 the reading that we're doing tonight, to protect the beauty of this area and to allow for carefully studied decisions for infrastructure. Projects do not go in before the infrastructure is there to support them, everything from fire, sewer, schools, and all that's needed. And to make sure the development doesn't affect the beauty of this area. I hiked 9 miles this morning and just thanking for the beauty of this area. And it just grieves me to think that without controlled growth and planned growth, that we would lose this. We have a gem in this north upstate part. And I appreciate you thinking forward and protecting what we have. I just encourage your vote. Thank you.
Mr. Garcia. Can't make out the first name. Sorry. Frank.
Good evening. My name is Frank Garcia. I'm here to encourage you to vote for the 2024-18. We live in a beautiful place. I'm an outsider of Miami, Florida, and Atlanta, and I don't want that here. The density was unreal. So if you can please support this ordinance, appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm gonna try this next one. Paul. Last name has a Z in it. That's all I can make out.
Paul Z.
Or Carl. No? Okay.
If we get to the end and you didn't hear your name called, just raise your hand and I'll.
And we have handwriting lessons after the meeting.
Janice Garcia.
Good evening. I'm the other half of Frank Garcia's couple, and also am here to ask you to support 2024-18. We love living here. We have experienced twice, once in Miami and once in Atlanta, uncontrolled growth. In both places, we lived in a rural area that was then subjected to high-density development without proper infrastructure. So we hope that you all will pass this, and as the gentleman said at the beginning, it's a great starting place. Thank you.
Pete Vollenhoff.
I'm Peter Butenhoff. Been blessed, my wife and myself, to live in Seneca and Oconee County for 20 years now. Rented for 2 years while we built our dream retirement home. During that time, we've had grandchildren visit. Now we have great-grandchildren, 4 from our grandchildren, who 3 of which graduated from Clemson, married people they met at Clemson. They all want to live close by. They love this area, and it's not just the university. It's the area, the mountains, the greenery, the waterways, and the lifestyle we enjoy. For many years, I led a task of, I was the go-to guy when people had septic problems in our community. And I can tell you there were many. I'd have urgent calls for, who do you recommend for pumping? We have sewage backing up into our house in the lower level. And $500-600 later, they could let their company continue to enjoy their home, and sometimes they'd spend thousands of dollars on repairs to faulty drain fields or other issues. I personally experienced that same situation with my drain field, and happy to have it rectified. We're very, very careful about how we treat our septic system, and recommend to all of our neighbors that they take good care also. If you're fortunate enough to live on a sewer that gets treated in Seneca or in other ways, you're fortunate. You don't need to worry about a septic system. But I think the density of housing is a critical issue as far as the health of septic systems. And so I therefore encourage your support for that, so we can keep this beautiful corner, golden corner, clean and green and truly golden for future generations. Thank you.
Marla Queen.
Good evening, council members. My name is Marla Queen, and I'm a resident of Salem. Thank you for this opportunity to voice my support for Ordinance 2024-18. I moved to the upstate because of its beauty and abundance of nature, like everybody else that has gotten up here. In the 6 years that I have lived here, I have seen development happening all around me. And for me, the most disturbing is the clear cutting of land to make room for housing developments, plural. I am not against building per se because I understand that it generates revenue, but I believe it should only happen after certain measures are taken. There needs to be an overarching vision for land use, which includes how much is to be preserved for parks and recreation, and what percentage can be used for housing and business development. There should be a formula for how many trees can be removed. Ordinance 2024-18 aims to slow down and control growth while a vision for Oconee County is formulated and a strategic plan is developed so that we can all continue to enjoy the natural beauty of this place we call home. I do not want to see what has been happening in Clemson with high-density housing to happen here in Oconee County. Limiting housing projects to 2 homes per acre where there is a need for septic tanks or 4 homes per acre where public sewer systems are in place will allow growth to continue here without totally devastating the environment. The trees would not have to be clear-cut to fit more houses on each acre lot. Moreover, without controls on buildings such as Ordinance 2024-18 proposes, we run the risk of overburdening our existing infrastructures. If multiple small houses are built on lots that require septic systems, for instance, the chances of mismanagement and poor maintenance can potentially leak waste into our rivers and lakes and create health problems. And the gentleman right before me was talking about how many there really are out there. Another issue, there has been a noticeable increase in traffic in Clemson, and I'm just using Clemson because it's just so close to us, with many high-rises that have been and continue to be constructed. Steps need to proceed high-density construction in Oconee County to ensure that the aesthetics and safety for our residents are maintained. We need to know if our existing roads can handle the increases in traffic and assess the impact on our fire and emergency services. Ordinance 2024-18 will hopefully give Oconee County the time it needs to develop the bigger picture. It appears also to be in line with Oconee County's mission statement that portends, and I quote, "to protect our community's heritage, environment, and natural resources in an ever-changing world." Thank you again for this opportunity to add my voice to the support of Ordinance 2024-18. I hope you adopt it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Beth Geltz.
I am Mary Beth Geltz, and I'm here to ask for your support for Ordinance 2024-18. When I was young, my grandmother taught me when she was passing on her most treasured recipes that you can always add a little bit more, but you can't take away once you put it in. And so I'm asking you, because I love this county, and I have my little slice of heaven in the woods. This ordinance doesn't halt growth, it just slows it. So we can get the recipe right. Developments can still be built, but we need to take time to make sure that the builders from outside don't come in and destroy the things that we love. The things we love the most about Oconee County. We want to make sure that when we leave it in a good condition for the people who will be here to follow us. We don't want it to have a drain on the fire and the police services and the traffic problems that no one will be happy with. I urge you to pass 2024-18 so you can successfully determine what we need to retain and preserve so that we keep the beauty, the lifestyle that we all treasure. Thank you for listening.
Larry Bowman.
Good evening. My name's Larry Bowman, and I've lived in Oconee County for 45 years. The first 2 years I was in graduate school at Clemson, so I did nothing to contribute to the tax base. And the only time that I ever contributed to the economy was either eating at Cindy's in Seneca, Crane's Jealous Grill in Westminster, or still one of my most favorite, the Walhalla Steakhouse. And like most Clemson students, they are not going to contribute anything to the tax base or very little to the economy. So I then went to medical school and completed my military obligations as a flight surgeon, and then was at Penn State doing a sports medicine orthopedic residency. Came back in '81. The actual population then was about 28,000. Now it's over 80,000 in Oconee County. We had 28 doctors on staff at Oconee. Now we have over 200. So the county is growing. And my concern, I agree with everything that everybody said, that we're worried about hard infrastructure and the aesthetics, but one of my real concerns is I was here in 69 and 70 when they were building the lakes and building the roads. And the roads haven't changed, and you can't change the traffic patterns. So for fire and the emergency responders and EMS, minutes mean lives, and we can't change the traffic patterns. So I think quality development's critical. And so I agree with everything that everyone else has said, but just every health worker that I've talked to, every person that's a citizen are in favor of the 2024-18. We appreciate your all's hard work, thoughtfulness, conscientiousness, and urge you to pass it on the third reading.
Sir.
Kathy Katsudo.
My name is Kathy Capsuto and I live in Salem, and I'll be very brief. I'd like to urge you to support this ordinance of 2024-18. I don't need to repeat everything that's said. I agree with all that has been said already. It's an important thing to be forward-thinking and control the growth that we have. That's all. And thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Barb Leonard.
My name's Barbara Leonard, and I live in Salem. My husband and I moved here in January 2023 from a community north of Tampa that experienced explosive growth that was not properly planned for. I am in support of the passage of the ordinance 2024-18, controlling the minimum lot size and maximum lot density in the control-free districts in Oconee County. There are numerous reasons why we need to control population growth. As many of us know, Highway 130 will not be widened. It's a 2-lane road with 2 bridges and 2 dams. How many times do we already have to stop on the way into town when cars make a left turn? Even now, before additional growth, in emergency situations, it's already backed up. So if we're adding a population the size of Walhalla, this is a dangerous situation for an evacuation or getting emergency vehicles through to save lives. In the community we came here from, in Florida, our rapid growth required building new schools, hiring hundreds of teachers, and regular redistricting of the children, forcing them to move schools as growth occurred. It was extremely disruptive and divisive in our community. And it was very emotional for the children being forced to move schools, separating them from friends and teachers that they had developed relationships with. Also, there were not enough buses or drivers, so children had to be picked up in shifts. This happened for my child with morning pickup shifts for elementary students from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Some children were not getting off the bus in the evening, getting home until 5 p.m. This was very disruptive to family schedules, and especially those with multiple children in elementary school, middle school, and or high school with varied bus schedules. It's horrible. In addition to stressing our educational resources, our healthcare, law enforcement, fire department, and EMS resources will be stressed. There will be increased crime, drugs, and vandalism, and there will be a drawdown on the water table affecting the availability of fresh water. So finally, we must ensure that developers are paying fees for all of the needed additional infrastructure. Any shortfall in tax revenue collected from them or industry to cover this growth will mean an increase in taxes to residents. So I support the passage of the ordinance. Thank you.
Dave Emmanuel.
Dave Emanuel, Seneca. I made my thoughts known at the last meeting, and everybody previously has pretty much covered all the ground. Just for the record, I want to bring up section 6-29-27 of the State Code of Laws, which addresses the fact that counties do have the capacity and the authority to make zoning decisions. That's been disputed in the past. I've got a copy here of it. I'm sure you know it. Just want to make sure for the record that is state law, that the counties do have the authority to make zoning decisions. Thank you.
Robin.
You're not even going to try to take that.
No.
Hi, I'm Robin McLaughlin. Thank you for the opportunity to once again ask for your support to pass the ordinance and to address the concerns, my concerns over the threat of high-density runaway development that overstresses our current infrastructure and is quite honestly out of character for the flavor of this area. Most of us are likely here, either moved here to this area or remained in this area because we do love the rural setting, because we do love the beauty, because we do like a slower pace that the high-density areas kind of go against. Areas of concern for me are numerous, but I'm just going to go over a couple of them so not to take much time. The roadways, the traffic, and the upkeep, just like everybody else. Who will pay for the expansion? How far will that expansion extend? Will there be additional roads that don't touch on Highway 30, say maybe Old Clemson Highway, which is already in need of repaving with current loads? Will expansion look at total impact versus just getting people in and out of neighborhoods being built? Think how busy the intersection of 123 and 130 is right now. Now add 2,000 to 4,000 cars. I go up and down 123 every day when I go to work. I work in Seneca. I live up on 130. And, you know, it's kind of troublesome already when you're trying to get home, but add that much more in there. Without some other roads to address that, that becomes an issue. And additionally, will the roadways be clear-cut or have a large enough buffer to solve the problem of looking just exactly like what was put on 123 out towards Easley? Takeaway for me is limit the population density, and the more densely populated development should coincide with sufficiently existing roadways, of which 130 is not currently. Another issue for me is access to health care. It took me literally a year and a half to be able to get an appointment to get primary care in this area. And the gentleman who I saw spent the entire time talking to me about how overworked he was because we don't have enough doctors to handle the current load. And so that is an issue. And then think about if you need a specialist, you're probably going to be pushing out in this area because we just don't have enough healthcare workers to handle the population we currently have. With specialties, you maybe get one in Greenville, but how well does that work for our elderly population? And on the flip side, how does that work for our younger population who can't afford to take that much time off of work? Again, limit density, that might solve some of that as that infrastructure comes up. Sewage, water runoff, and the impact on the watershed is also an issue for me. The greater amount of surface area covered by impervious surfaces, which is required for building homes, has a greater impact on the watershed. Where are the impact studies? What's the plan for the sewage? Who's going to pay for it? Will there be a special election and tax assessment for sewer to our existing residents, or for those existing residents to pay for sewer to the new developments? Or will it be septic systems, which, when they fail, which is not uncommon, will be a problem? Our last home, the septic failed in the first year. Now, the builder was required to come back and fix it, but it wasn't in a timely manner, and there was runoff. Fortunately, we lived on an acre. So that solved a little bit of that. But we all know old systems fail as well. A lower density will lower that impact and its impact on the environment. That becomes even more important in a watershed. As for affordability of homes, we all know the greater price of the home, the more the developer and the realtors working with them make. Additionally, the more homes crammed into a given amount of space, the more they make. There is no reason for them to self-limit, which is why the county needs to do it. From what I have read, this ordinance does not limit our local landowners. It offers protection to our farmers from large-scale developments popping up against their land. Landowners are still free to use their land. It simply limits out-of-area developers from coming in, lining their pockets with cash, and leaving the area in the wake of destruction to deal with the mess that they made, both financially and figuratively. Thank you for your time.
Greg Barlow.
Good evening. Thanks for letting me speak. I'm Greg Barlow. I live in Salem. Wife and I have been Oconee County homeowners since 2007. I echo everything that everyone else has said before, and I'm sure you all have already taken this into account. I will say to add that in my military career in the Air Force, we had, courtesy of the Air Force, you move all around. I can give you two exact examples of what you don't want to have happen here. Las Vegas, Nevada in the early 1990s, explosive growth, lot sizes that went down to 60 by 100, so 6,000 square feet, even smaller after that, crammed in, built up, total mess, lack of infrastructure. High school went to 3 sessions a day to accommodate, because you just can't build out to accommodate the growth that comes in here. Similar occurrence in Northern Virginia in the early 2000s, Prince William County, where we lived, in Loudoun County, Virginia, explosive growth. A lot of developers came in, could offer homes at a lower price point, but you had so many in there, they were making money hand over fist. The counties have not recovered from that yet, and the ability to provide infrastructure and services, and more importantly, the character of the county. And I think that's one of the things that you all are caretakers of, is what we look like. I mean, I don't necessarily think anyone wants us to become an Atlanta, Miami, or anything like that. You guys are here, and I trust in your good judgment that this will end up being passed because you are the caretakers of our future here, and I thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for letting me speak.
Hello, I'm Paul Lieppa. Thank you for having this opportunity. My wife and I have been blessed to be down here for 3 years. We come out of the Northeast, and my experience started here on the roads. I love to drive, and I noticed how courteous drivers were. Waiting, if you had the right of way, they would give you the right of way. Something totally foreign to my experience coming out of the Northeast. The roads are, where I lived when I was a boy and a young man, was at the edge of the farmland. There were still farms in my town, and the infrastructure didn't change over the 50 or 60 years that I was there, as they gradually built up and up and up, building those 4-story little buildings with the commercial space on the bottom finally. And what was a delightful little town became impossible to drive through just to go 4 blocks. We have such beauty here with the mountains and the rivers and the lakes, but those are also prohibit easy construction of roads to supplement what we already have. There are a number of places here where there just doesn't seem to be a conceivable way to build out the roads. And as we build up here, in my experience, people start looking for ways to bypass the traffic backups, and of course you get road rage in those traffic backups. And that carries through, it affects everybody who's on the road, not just the crazy person who's losing their mind, but it colors everybody's day. And that kind of ripples through the rest of the day and how people treat each other. And the wonderful way we've been treated here is such a treasure, but I think that oversaturating developments and putting stresses where, building into places where there's just no way that the infrastructure can easily deal with those people is going to lead to degradation in just the human relationships that we have. People start looking for neighborhoods to cut through, to bypass, the major road where the blockage is, and all of a sudden the little neighborhoods get great flows of traffic. And until that can kind of be factored into the whole equation, I think it's very wise to begin to be somewhat conservative on how we develop here. Thank you very much.
Patty?
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you all so much. My name is Patty Case, and I live in District 1 in Salem, South Carolina. My husband Gary and I moved here in 2000, and I've been a realtor in the area since 2004. And I understand why people will want to come to this area. We came here from Atlanta. I know that your service sometimes is underappreciated, and what you're doing right now is very important for the future generations. And also because you as council members will be replaced in the future, and there will be others that will have to come behind you and face these same situations. So right now, what you're doing in supporting this ordinance, this third reading, is really establishing a legacy to help plan for the future and for the people that will want to continue to come here. The density problem truly is an issue because of the lack of infrastructure. And right now, that's not, to my knowledge, on the horizon, and that does take a lot of planning. So I applaud you all for taking this step forward and just slowing down the growth to give us a time to breathe and pause and make good decisions going forward. I've got grandkids. I know they're going to want to live here. My sister wants to live here. My daughter lives here. You all have a gorgeous place that you may have grown up here. We didn't, but we believe people want to come here and experience a high quality of life. And they won't get there if we don't do the right planning. So thank you so much.
Sharon Hamilton?
Good evening. My name is Sharon Hamilton. I've lived in the Bountyland area for about 20 years. I am appreciative of the chance to talk to you this evening. I just am here to support the passing of Ordinance 2024-18 for all the reasons that have already been so eloquently stated prior to my speech. So again, thank you very much for your service, and thank you for the Planning Commission for putting so much thought into this ordinance. This is a great first step. Thank you.
Tom Markovich?
Good evening, y'all. Tom Markovich for the record. May be outgunned tonight. I got a comment for that later. I was glad to hear somebody bring up the idea of the statute that grants the council the powers to zone. There's never been any question about that at all. However, there are caveats that are tied to it, and there's no question about that. Your own ordinance for rezoning and amendments to rezoning, for subsequent rezoning, which this is what this is, because this was all zoned originally as, with a whole different standard. Subsequent rezoning, notwithstanding any effort to accomplish a prior rezoning, county council may at any time rezone a parcel or a group of parcels pursuant to the goals established in the Oconee County Comprehensive Plan. Now, I've read that plan, I don't know how many times, but I've especially read it 4 times in the last 2 weeks. And I want to point out, number one, I could not find a single goal in your strategies anywhere in that comprehensive plan that suggested that this type of standard being changed was recommended at all. Quite the opposite, and I'm going to list a few of these. This is from the housing strategy. Strategy 3.111. Encourage the development of a range of housing types and densities to include single-family site-built patio homes. You don't need a half an acre of land to put a patio home in. right? Strategy 3.114, review and amend land use plans and regulations and remove possible barriers to the development of a variety of housing options and residential development types. In my mind, this is a barrier to those various types. Strategy 3.122, encourage and promote housing development that will allow county's older residents to age in place, such as higher density single family. Let me make a note. I've been building houses in this county since 1977. Some of the earliest houses on the lake. I can't tell you how many of my customers, and I built a lot of big lake houses on very large lots. And I can't tell you how many of my customers said they wish they could have them. They still wanted a lake house, but they wanted a much smaller lot because they were all retired. And they didn't want to spend all their time maintaining that lot. So, I mean, there is a desire, especially for some retired people, to have much smaller lots. Going on with the goals. Strategy 3.2.1.2, encourage and promote the development of housing options that are affordable for low and middle income families. And again, you've heard me, I've been speaking about affordable housing here for over 30 years. And I'm not going to quit speaking about affordable housing. And I realize that a lot of people have been fortunate enough to never have to worry about that. But I know what it's like to grow up in a poverty type situation. I know what it's like to own that first home. And I know what it's like to buy subsequent homes after that. It's important. It's for a lot of people, it's a way out of poverty. And if we cut that off and don't allow people of lesser means to have an avenue, part of that's going to include having to have houses with more density. Here's another one. 3.222, work with state, local, federal agencies to identify, reduce, or remove barriers to housing affordability. 3.224, work with state housing and other relevant agencies to assess the extent of the shortage of housing affordable to low and moderate income residents. Now, not a strategy, but out of the plan, one of the things that was mentioned, and I brought it up to the Planning Commission last night, and these numbers in this plan go back. It was approved in 2020. These numbers go back before 2020. 45% of renters, 30% of all homeowners in Oconee County are cost burdened, paying more than 30% of income for homeowner costs, rents, associated costs, utilities, taxes, and insurance. That was over 4 years ago. Think about what inflation, rents, what interest rates and everything else has done to these markets. And it's just people can't afford it anymore. Remove and amend land use development regulations and other relevant requirements and procedures to remove potential barriers and provide incentives for safe, decent, and affordable housing. And it just goes on and on. Here's one because people want to talk about smart planning. I don't disagree with smart planning. However, one of the things that's not smart is urban sprawl. Okay? Everybody understands that. And in fact, your plan, the comprehensive plan, strategy 11.1.2.2, coordinate urban suburban development in Oconee County to ensure adequate infrastructure is in place to support balanced growth in primary areas while minimizing urban sprawl. I'm sorry, but this ordinance does just the opposite. encourage new and innovative approaches to residential development that will expand housing options. Work with community partners to provide educational materials on best practices for septic tank maintenance. I don't disagree that people need to be aware and made aware of taking care of their septic tanks so they're not having issues. That's just common sense. Why wouldn't you do that? However, leading people to believe that you have to have a half acre of land in order to have a septic tank for it to be safe is just not reasonable, because nowhere in the state law does it require that. And it's just, it doesn't make any sense, period. And while, yeah, every now and then you're gonna have some issues with septic tanks that fail, make no mistake that the sewer plant has had a number of, and you get a heavy rain, 4-inch rain, something like that, it's gonna fail again. And it's gonna pollute more than just a backyard. It's gonna pollute all the water that's going into the various intakes for the city water systems. So anyway, that's all I got. I really, in terms of being outgunned, I'm used to it. Like I said, I've been at this game for a long, long time. And I helped create the very first comprehensive plan that this county ever had. I believe in good planning. I helped create the ordinance. I helped create Title 6, Chapter 29. And so I believe in good planning. However, when people are gunning, they're not aiming at me. They're aiming at affordable housing, private property rights. Make no mistake about that. It's not about me. It's about private property rights and affordable housing, period. That's all I got. Thank you.
Ron Solensik.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Solenzik. I live in Salem. I'm in full support of the ordinance 2024-18, particularly because it applies to the control-free district. And at this point, or this district, there's very few limitations and restrictions on development there. So I think the ordinance as it's written is a very good first step in putting some orderly process into development of the control-free area. I mean, okay, a half-acre lot with a septic system, that's pretty normal in residential construction. But here in Oconee County, you have another problem in that the soil conditions here are predominantly red clay, which doesn't drain very well. So if you had more than 2 houses on a half-acre lot, yeah, you're going to have septic system failures, and it's going to be quite common because the drainage, the topography and the soil conditions here in the county don't allow for readily, real good drainage from a septic system. So that's why the half-acre requirement there is I think, more than reasonable. And the maximum, the density requirements go in conjunction with that. So I would encourage the board, the council, to approve this ordinance 2024-18. Thank you.
Robert Moore.
Good evening, I'm Robert Moore. I signed up to be one of the last, if not the last, because I wanted to be able to speak to rebut somebody who opposed. And up until the last couple of minutes, didn't think I was going to have anything to say. I think that I've read the comprehensive plan too. And I think when you give it close examination, nothing this gentleman has said prevents you from supporting 2024-18. I'm asking for you to support that. Please shut the barn door before while we still have some cows left. Just think about that. Because the cows are leaving every day because we're plowing up the pasture. Everybody's got a pasture. Thank you very much.
Sandra Stricker.
I'm Sandra Stricker, and good evening to all the members sitting up here. I was born in Oconee County, and I've lived here my whole life. Same thing for Mr. Hart, isn't it? We came into Oconee County, 3 weeks apart? And we are not going to say how many decades we have been here to watch Oconee County. But anyway, my husband and I live in District 3, and we've come to many council meetings over the years. And I've seen the county grow. We've seen the county grow over many, many years and lots of things that go way back. But now I'm speaking for my husband and my friends. We know that Oconee needs a plan for smart growth that will manage future growth for the betterment of our present residents and future residents. And Bob and I have seen the county grow. We ride all over the county from one end to the other time to time. We've witnessed changes such as clear cutting that have ruined the natural beauty of Oconee. And that really hurts me seeing how it has changed and remembering way back. But the proposed ordinance 2024-18 will only impact large, high-density projects which allow out-of-town developers to make big profits and leave us with headaches and related cost of infrastructure, fire protection, law enforcement, and traffic problems related to their large projects, as well as the resulting destruction of the natural beauty of Oconee. In leaving our subdivision, we often have to wait 10, 20, 30 cars to go by. And I have sat here and listened to people who live on Highway 30 where we are, and having to try to get on the road to get up to Ingalls. And as we came this evening, we did the same thing, talking about this thing of traffic problems where we live really is a problem. So we encourage the county council to adopt this ordinance 2024-18 for density and lot size for control-free zones for the betterment of Oconee County and its citizens. And thank you for letting me express my support of this.
That's our last speaker.
I tallied 21. I thought we had 22. Does anybody else like to speak?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Smith?
For the record again, I'm Perry Smith. I would like to express my gratitude for your steadfast commitment to upholding property rights in Oconee County. Upholding property rights. The protection of these rights is crucial for our community's prosperity and individual freedoms. Individual freedoms. It's disheartening to witness continuous efforts aimed at undermining our property rights. As an American, I understand the fundamental importance of land ownership and the ability to utilize it as I see fit. Property rights. I commend you for standing firm in defense of these principles on behalf of all citizens that's not here today. For years, AQD has consistently opposed personal property rights, obstructing property owners from selling or developing their land. This opposition is often cloaked under the guise of aesthetic improvements, which I find very misleading. Granting concessions to such requests not only jeopardizes the rights of individual property owners, but threatens the foundational rights of every citizen in our county. History shows that yielding to these demands only invites further encroachments on our property rights. We must remain resolute in our stance against these efforts. Even the smallest concession represents a significant erosion of our property rights. Now, how long have I been here? I was born and raised here. I'm 54 years old. If we had a shut the barn door, we could have kept these people out 50 years ago. If we had done it 50 years ago, they wouldn't be here. But behind me, I got all these people who want to shut down my property rights for their own selfish gain. I guarantee you 95% of the people behind me live in an HOA and are happy to be told what to do. I've heard the word control, slow the growth, zoning, coming from people who live in an HOA who don't mind being told what to do. But guess what? I don't want to be told what to do. My property, I paid for my land, 30 acres in the mountains. I should be able to do with it what I want without some yahoos that ain't even from around here coming here to tell me what I can and can't do. They've been trying to change the rules in this county for years. If we didn't want this, we should have done, if we didn't want this happening today, if we'd have done this 50 years ago, they would not be here. Because right now, what they're wanting you to do is they're wanting you to stop the future population, people like them, that want to move here. Y'all are going to vote for this. It needs to be killed on the spot. Because what y'all are doing is giving in to people who don't care about the future. They only care about right now and themselves. Every one of these people back here, except for Tom. You wasn't alone, Tom. Personal property rights. It's what makes us Americans. It's why so many of people died coming here. To be free, to be able to do what they want. Kill this ordinance.
Any other speakers?
Yes. Hi, my name is Cam Flynn. I live in Seneca. I would say that everybody's personal property rights extend only as far as the next person's personal property rights. And I'd like to say that we're not proposing no growth, we're proposing controlled growth. We're not saying nobody else can come here, we're saying let's do it right. I'm in support of the proposition.
Anyone else would like to speak? Okay, so we received, the last tally before the meeting was 64 emails in support of the ordinance. A handful requested that they be read. The rest of the emails will be put on the record. So I'm going to now read the emails that was requested to be read. It's about 4 or 5. This says, "Dear friends, I am writing to support ordinance 2024-18, amending the county code of ordinances to establish minimum lot size and maximum lot density provisions for the control-free zones. My husband and I have lived in Oconee County for 17 years, and we enjoy the quality of life here. Although many new houses have been built around us, the development is in keeping with the area in terms of lot sizes and lot density. If the county can maintain a similar density as the land between us and Route 123 is developed, we are more confident that the proposed developments can minimize changes to traffic and needs for services. Now, with the growing demand for housing in our area, it seems crucial to add some provisions for the control-free zones. If the density of proposed new developments is much greater than surrounding areas, traffic on two-lane roads could be severely affected. Demand for capacity in schools and healthcare and other facilities also could grow faster than the county's ability to provide that capacity. Those issues would affect the quality of life for everyone here, both established and new residents. We think it makes sense to maintain the character of the area, limiting density to what can be provided for as the population grows. The council has guided growth well in the 17 years we've been here, and we would like to see that continue. We appreciate the council's work on 2024-18 and urge you to pass it. Thank you for reading this letter into the record. This is Miss Linda Shelton, and she's from Salem." Okay, this one starts, "I fully support the passing of this ordinance. I think the county needs this to help control growth. The county needs to really look at the infrastructure when approving any subdivisions. Roads, schools, police department, fire department, wastewater, and healthcare needs to be evaluated to see if the area could withstand more houses, people, and cars. We need to slow and control growth. We do not need to provide housing for Clemson. The college wants to grow, then they need to provide the housing for their own students. These developers do not need to put a strain on our infrastructure. The developers will build and then leave the county dealing with providing services that it has not planned for. Traffic, fire protection, law enforcement, just to name a few. A control-free district needs to have density standards. Higher density housing needs to be where the infrastructure already exists. Oconee does not need to build high-density housing with septic systems crammed into a small space. Septic systems can fail and then leach out into water sources. Please pass ordinance 2024-18, control-free zone density and lot size minimums, 2 residencies per acre if a property on-site wastewater treatment facility, e.g. septic tank, if the property has access to OJRSA sewer or another off-site facility like Kiwi Key wastewater treatment system. The ordinance limits density to 4 residents. Thank you. This is Debbie Brown." My name is Kevin Minton. We have owned property in Oconee County for 25 years and have been full-time residents for over 15 years. There's a need to take steps now to better manage development in our county. Ordinance 2024-18 is at least a small step towards managing development density. I urge you to support and pass this ordinance. It is clearly in the overall best interest of our citizens. Thank you. I may have already read this one. I apologize if I didn't. I'm going to read it again. This is from Jerry Yantis, resident of Seneca, South Carolina. I'm in favor of ordinance 2024-18, establishment of minimum lot size and maximum lot density provisions for the control-free district, as it offers the county and its residents the ability to align the pace of housing development with the pace of infrastructure needed to support such housing developments. The creation of high-density housing without sufficient roads and emergency services is a disservice to the residents of the county who are left with the challenge of traffic jams, unsafe roads, and delays in emergency response times. More sophisticated land use planning and related ordinances are needed, but this is a good place to start. Please vote in favor of ordinance amendment 2024-18. Thank you. And that's all. So unless anyone else would like to speak, I'll now close public hearing on ordinance 2024-18. Okay, now we move on to third reading of the following ordinances. This is ordinance 2024-16, previously read for public comment or public hearing. It's on the screen in front of you. This is the fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes, special source revenue credit for Sandvik Machining Solutions.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve? Second. Any discussion, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Vote is 4-0.
Next, we have ordinance 2024-18. This is the ordinance we just had the long public hearing on for amending chapter 38 of the Oconee County Code of Ordinances.
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? I'd just like to say I thank everybody for coming out. I mean, it's a good turnout. So I spent just a very brief period of my life in the Charleston area. And being from the 6 Mile Pickens area, I could not wait to leave. So I literally was ready to run for the hills. So I agree with what everybody says. We want to maintain, what we have here. But I'm afraid this really isn't the solution everybody thinks it is, just for the simple fact, what's driving this is growth. It's people moving here. And South Carolina, it's a top moved state too. I think in 46 counties, only 10's growing. And then there's a Person Curry article recently came out. I encourage y'all to go Google it. Some counties is growing a lot, like Horry County is growing like 40%, they estimate in the next 12 to 15 years. They estimate Oconee like 8 to 10%. But that's guesstimates, they don't really know. But the county's growing, but being one of the 10 growing counties is a blessing because initially right out of school I coached football for 4 years and I traveled the whole state of South Carolina recruiting. And there's a lot of places in South Carolina that's not growing, they're actually shrinking. And the Person Curry article shows that too. And that's not what you want. That's the opposite. That's desolate. That's, poverty. That's no hope for the young people there. So fortunately, we are growing. But passing density standards isn't going to stop that growth. People's moving here, as y'all came out and spoke, from all over the country. And they're going to keep moving here. That demand's going to stay the same. Now, we may limit the supply of available lots by density standards. We could make 2 acre, 3 acre minimum lot size. That can drive the price up, but the people that's selling a 1,200 square foot bungalow in Pennsylvania for $800,000, it ain't gonna matter to them. They're still escaping for this piece of paradise that we have here, that so many people said. And to counter it, I think it's a multi-pronged approach. We spend money to advertise the county, right? And we have Destination Coney, other efforts, and maybe we succeeded well in making it a destination. I'd like to suggest, Mr. Mize, in the next Plan Economic Development meeting that we look at those dollars spent in advertising and try to get data on where that money's spent and where it's advertised to. If somebody says it's first step, well, it's multi-pronged. But what I'm caution is first steps. We can restrict and regulate. We can make the whole county look like an HOA, like Kiwi Key, and I guess that would restrict the growth of the county because it'd be like Highlands. There's nobody in Highlands from Highlands can afford to live in Highlands. The people who work in Highlands can't afford to live in Highlands. So just caution you on that. And everybody here who spoke, most of you, in the letters we have, recently moved to the area. And I say this jokingly but serious too. Y'all can have the most immediate impact on slowing the growth, right? Stop encouraging your friends and neighbors from where you came from to move here. Because you found the paradise, don't let them find it too. But one part of that, if we keep having people move here, with density standards you can increase, it may have counter effects to what we want. Sprawl is an issue. If you have the same number of people wanting to move here with bigger lot sizes, that eats up more land. That's more clear cutting. That's more farmland taken. So with everything we do up here, there's positives. Yeah, we make and limit houses being stacked on top of each other, but there's negative attributes to that too. So it's a holistic approach. We don't want to stop growth because if you ain't growing, you're dying. And I've been in the communities that's dying. That's not what we want. And I live in Mountain Rest, and if I step out on my porch, I've got neighbors from, I don't want to call them out, but from Wisconsin, New York. I even got some folks from South Africa, right? So Coney's discovered. And this ordinance isn't gonna change that. Those people are still gonna be moving here. Thank you. Now we have first, second, all in favor?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a statement. The affordable housing came up, and we all want affordable housing. And this ordinance does not affect municipalities. It only affects the non-incorporated areas of the county. Affordable housing is catered by municipalities which are equipped for density, for affordable housing. They have water, they have sewer. Most of the county outside of municipalities don't have sewer. Some of them don't have water. So this ordinance does not affect affordable housing. It does not affect the municipalities. And Mr. Durham, I think you ran on passing this ordinance. Sounds like you're against it now, so I don't know, but thank you.
I didn't run on passing, but I'm just stating the facts. It's not the silver bullet. It's not gonna solve the issue of people moving here. I mean, right, so prices will go up. I don't know how much, right? If you restrict supply, prices do change. And it appears the people moving here have the money to pay the rise in prices. But I'm not opposed to the ordinance. I intend to vote for it. I think there's other things that we do need to look at going forward to help manage the growth, and that's what the citizens, both newcomers and people who's lived here their whole life, would like to see. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Vote for O.
Okay. If y'all want to stay the rest of the meeting, you're welcome to. If y'all want to leave, I'll take a brief pause so y'all can. Hey, do you want to have a 5-minute recess? Go ahead.
Well, I had
Yes, ma'am.
I'm for this. I've been here property owners for 77 years. I'm disappointed.
Oh, I did, but if I did it, kept it on for all 22 comments, you would
Oh, hell yeah. Now we're back to a normal meeting.
Say that, but I was
Yeah,
disappointed.
we can't say that, you're right. And we're
But I was
stewards of what God gave us.
disappointed that no one, not one person, picked out that this is God's land,
Yes, ma'am.
and we need to preserve it.
The only difference between now
You did like the ball.
Hey, thank you.
5 years ago. No question about that. I had to be escorted, I had to have a police escort out of the old courthouse in 1997 because I was in favor of having a congregation. And I had to be, I'm serious, I had to get a police escort out. That was not a popular idea.
Still agree with it going to recess.
Still violated order. Bill, you've been doing all right?
Sorry. Sorry about that.
So we continue now to second reading on the following ordinances. Ordinance 2024-19, I'm going to recuse myself from, so I'll turn it over to Mr. Miles.
This is second reading of ordinance 2024-19. It's an ordinance authorizing the conveyance of easement rights to Duke Energy Carolinas LLC for the purpose of utility infrastructure construction and maintenance at property owned by Oconee County in Walhalla, South Carolina, currently designated by Oconee County Tax Map Number 500-19-01-006, and other matters related thereto.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Mize, Jennifer, we had a number of emails, I think, supporting this ordinance. Not on this one. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. So I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
That is 3-0.
Okay, next we have first and final reading of the following resolution. This is resolution 2024-15, a resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of an easement agreement with the United States Department of the Army / Secretary of the Army for a public road or street, Cooper Road, located on the Lake Hartwell Project, easement number DACW 21-2-24-0018.
So I move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
That is 4-0.
Next, we have request for council's approval for a commit to matching funds not to exceed $10,000 in the submission of Oconee County Parks, Recreation, Tourism application for the South Carolina Parks and Recreation Department, PARD, fund grant for Seneca Creek County Park shade structures, amount not to exceed $10,000. Oconee County requests the commitment of the matching funds for the PARD grant from the Oconee County Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Capital Projects Fund. It is staff's recommendation that council support the Oconee County PARD grant application and commit matching funds up to $10,000 for the Seneca Creek County Park shade structures.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second, any discussion?
Yeah, Chairman, I just got one question, and Phil, you may can answer this if he can come up to the podium. I mean, it's a quick question. I took a look at the background information on it, and these shade structures, I'm not against the shade structures whatsoever, but looking at them, they look just like a 12 by 12 patio umbrella. Is that what they are?
It's a little thicker steel that's mounted into the existing concrete they already have there. And it's a lot thicker fabric on top of it. So we've had a playground shade structure at High Falls now for about 7-8 years, and we haven't had to replace it. They're usually 10, 12 years of life. The area that we're chosen, there's 5 picnic pads. There's 2 on the sidewalk, and there's 3 on the back side of the sidewalk. We chose the 3 on the back to make sure our security cameras had a clear view of everything, and that gave an opportunity to have either 2, you could be out in the sun if you wanted to, or you could have a shade option there as well.
Okay. The only thing that I was worried about was durability. So if y'all have got experience with this type of shade structure, that's really all I had. For the money that we were spending, I wanted to make sure it wasn't gonna be something that was gonna have to be replaced in 2 years or whatever.
No, it's a high-grade steel that's mounted in there. You will have to replace that fabric probably 8, 10 years down the road, but unless it's vandalized, it should be there for a while.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And Mr. Mize, I asked my wife about these, and they have them at their school over the playground. She said they're very nice, and very well made. Any other comments?
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is 4-0.
Next, we have procurement ITB 23-17 is gateway signs from the PRT department. The amount is $87,837. Airport signs $6,663.20. Contingency 10% $8,783.70 for a total of $103,283.90. The project is part of the PRT expansion plan and funding is from PRT accommodations tax, tax. Budget $103,283.90. Project cost $103,283.90 for a balance of $0. Funding from the local tax fund. It is staff's recommendation that council, 1, approve the award of bid ITB 23-17 to Not Sign Industries Incorporated of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, in the amount of $87,837. Approve a 10% contingency in the amount of $8,783.70. And approve the addition of the Oconee County Regional Airport Welcome to Oconee sign in the amount of $6,663.20.
So moved.
Second. Motion second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Kind of addressing what we talked about before. If you leave the Isle of Palms down in Charleston and go to Sullivan's Island, the only way to get off Isle of Palms, you'll see this sign that's been there for 30 years. It says, next time, try Folly Beach. Maybe we should put up a sign that says, when they're leaving Oconee County, next time try Lake Hartwell instead of Lake Kiwi.
Any other discussion?
Yes, sir. When they put these signs up, they got one down on Route 11 near my property. They've got it so close to the road that an 18-wheeler has hit it and warped it. So when they get put up, they need to be offset further enough away from the road that truck traffic can't hit them.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Any other discussion? Here none, all in favor?
Vote is 4-0.
All right, for this next discussion item, I'm going to be recusing myself as well. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Mize.
This next discussion item is overhead to underground conversion, PRT South Cove County Park, in the amount of $140,067.59 with a contingency of $14,006.76 for a total of $154,074.35. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2024-2025 budget process in the PRT capital millage. The budget was $154,074.35 for a project cost of $154,074.35 and a balance of $0. Funding from the PRT capital project millage fund. It's the staff's recommendation that council approve the overhead to underground power conversion to Duke Energy in the amount of $140,067.59 and approve a 10% contingency in the amount of $14,006.76.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
No, this is the one.
We had 30 emails today supporting this request.
30 emails. Thank you, Ms. Adams. All in favor? Aye.
Vote is 3-0.
Okay, I'm just gonna continue on that. Okay. We've got council committee reports, and I've got one report on the Planning and Economic Development Committee meeting. It was attended by myself, Mr. Durham, and Mr. Hart. We had a Planning and Economic Development Committee met in council chambers on June 18th at 4:30 p.m. For planning and code enforcement update, Mr. James Coley provided details regarding the Planning, Zoning, and Code Enforcement Department 2023 review. Discussion regarding commercial and industrial Investment in Oconee County, specifically Oconee County properties. Mr. Root provided details as to how the state and federal governments are working on legal guidelines regulating the sale of land to foreign adversaries. And also we had discussion regarding Ordinance 2023-22 related to lighting, buffering, and open space development requirements. Ordinance 2023-2 was sent to the Planning Commission for further review by unanimous vote. The next scheduled meeting of this committee is on Tuesday, August the 20th, 2024 at 4:30 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Miles. So we have no board and commission appointments. Next, I need a motion to enter executive session for one, discussion regarding economic development matter project Cherry/Clarios. 2, receive legal advice and discuss contractual matter related to project Galt/Books for Less. 3, receive legal advice and discuss opioid litigation and proposed settlement with Kroger. 4, receive legal advice and discuss potential contractual procurement issues with respect to entities related to hostile foreign governments.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
That is 4A.
Okay, I need a motion to exit executive session.
So moved. Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have some motions to make coming out of executive session. Mr. David Root.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. The first matter related to Project Cherry and Clarios is captured in the resolution 2024-14, which we'll do after these next two motions. In relation to item number 2, Project Galton Books for Less, I need a motion to direct the county attorney to draft a revised multi-county industrial park distribution ordinance to allow for a fee in lieu of tax distribution to the city of Westminster with respect to Project Galt/Books for Less in the same proportion as it would have received if the property was not in a multi-county industrial park, provided that it is revenue neutral to the county and there is no objection by the company.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
That's 4A.
Jennifer, I'll send you a copy of that.
Okay, thank you.
And the next item is number 3. This is Kroger. Again, with the opioid litigation, this would be to direct the county administrator to execute all documents necessary to evidence the county's consent to adding the proposed settlement with Kroger Company to the South Carolina Opioid Settlement Allocation Agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
That's 4A.
Next, we have first and final reading on the following resolution. This is Resolution 2024-14, a resolution approving a 10-year extension of the phased termination date of the amended fee agreement by and between Clarios LLC, FKA Johnson Controls Battery Group Incorporated, and Oconee County, South Carolina, pursuant to the provisions of Section 12-44-10, etc., SEQ of the Code of Laws of South Carolina.
So moved. Second.
Motion, a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
That's 4A.
I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.